Cynthia sat in the small living room of her flat in Suralire, Lagos, staring at her phone screen as if it held the answer to her entire life. Outside, the sound of Okada engines and evening traders filled the air, but inside, silence pressed against her chest. Stephen had just left again, after another conversation that went nowhere. "Cynthia, I'm not ready yet," he'd said, his voice tired, distant. "Can we just wait a little longer?" Wait. That word had become her nightmare. They had been together for 6 years. 6 years of watching her friends get married, of attending weddings in borrowed Asibi, of dodging questions from her mother. Cynthia, when will Stephen do the right thing? She was 31 now, and every passing month felt like sand slipping through her fingers. She loved Stephen truly, loved him, but fear had started to twist that love into something desperate. What if he never proposed? What if she wasted her best years waiting for a man who would eventually walk away? That night, scrolling through Instagram, she saw it. A sponsored ad from an account called at Mystical Solutions Ninja. Tired of waiting? Make him see what he's been missing. Our love charms work fast. Guaranteed results. The page was filled with testimonials of women claiming their boyfriends proposed within weeks, men swearing they finally found their soulmate. Cynthia's finger hovered over the screen. She knew it was foolish. She knew it was wrong. But desperation has a way of silencing logic. She sent a DM. Within an hour, a reply came with instructions and a price. 25,000 naira for a love binding charm, a small pouch of herbs to keep under her pillow, and a perfume to wear whenever she was with him. "It doesn't control him," the seller assured her. "It just opens his heart to what's already there." Cynthia told herself it was harmless, just a nudge, a little help from the universe. She paid. The package arrived 3 days later. The first time she used it, Stephen came over for dinner. Cynthia had sprayed the perfume lightly on her wrists and neck, her heart pounding with guilt and hope. That evening, something shifted. Stephen, who had been distant for months, suddenly couldn't stop looking at her. He held her hand across the table, his eyes soft and searching. "Cynthia," he said quietly, "I've been thinking. Maybe I've been afraid for too long." Her breath caught. "Afraid of what?" "Of losing you. Of not being enough. But I don't want to lose you. I don't want to wait anymore." 2 weeks later, he proposed. It happened on a Saturday evening at their favorite spot in Lekki, a small restaurant by the water where they'd had their first date. He knelt, hands shaking, and asked her to marry him. Cynthia said yes, tears streaming down her face, but underneath the joy was a quiet, gnawing unease. She pushed it aside. This was what she wanted, wasn't it? The wedding happened quickly, too quickly. Stephen insisted. "Why wait?" he kept saying. "I've wasted enough time already." Family and friends gathered at a modest hall in Acacia. Cynthia wore a beautiful white dress. Her mother wept with joy, and Stephen looked at her as though she were the only person in the world. But even as she smiled for photos, Cynthia felt the weight of something she couldn't name. After the wedding, Stephen changed. At first, it was subtle, small signs Cynthia mistook for devotion. He started working from home more often, claiming he wanted to be near her. He stopped going out with his friends. He called her constantly when she left the house, asking when she'd be back, what she was doing, if she was okay. "I just miss you," he'd say, his voice thick with emotion. "I can't stand being away from you." It felt overwhelming, but Cynthia told herself it was love. Intense, maybe, but love. Then it grew worse. Within 2 months, Stephen stopped going to work entirely. His boss called repeatedly, but Stephen ignored him. "I don't care about that job," he told Cynthia one morning, his eyes hollow. "Nothing matters except you." Cynthia's stomach turned. "Stephen, you love your job. You've worked so hard. I love you more." He reached for her hand, gripping it too tightly. "Why would I waste time away from you?" She pulled her hand back, her pulse racing. "This isn't normal, Stephen. You need to go back to work. You need your own life." But he didn't. He began following her from room to room, sitting silently while she cooked, cleaned, or tried to work on her laptop. If she closed the bedroom door, he'd knock softly, asking if she was upset with him. If she went out, he'd wait by the window until she returned, his face pale and anxious. His friends stopped calling. His family grew concerned. Cynthia's own fear deepened into dread. One evening, She confronted him. "Stephen, what's wrong with you? You're not yourself anymore." He looked at her with an expression that chilled her to the bone, blank, empty, and utterly dependent. "I don't know," he whispered. I can't think of anything but you. I don't want to." That night, Cynthia pulled the charm pouch from under her pillow and stared at it, her hands trembling. She had done this. She had taken the man she loved and turned him into a shadow. Guilt clawed at her chest. She threw the pouch away, deleted the seller's contact, and stopped using the perfume. But the damage was already done. Stephen didn't improve. If anything, he grew worse. Paranoid, clingy, lost. He stopped eating properly. He barely slept. His eyes followed her everywhere, empty and pleading. Cynthia tried everything. Therapy, prayer, traditional healers, but nothing worked. Love force could not be undone. Months passed. The flat in Surrey, once filled with laughter and plans, became a prison. Cynthia had gained a husband but lost a partner. Stephen no longer had dreams, ambitions, or identity. He existed only to orbit her, and the weight of it crushed them both. One afternoon, Cynthia sat across from her friend Irene at a small cafe in Victoria Island. Irene had noticed the change. Cynthia's sunken eyes, her forced smiles, the way she flinched when her phone rang. "Cynthia, what's going on?" Irene asked gently. Cynthia broke. She told her everything. The charm, the proposal, Stephen's transformation, the guilt that consumed her every waking moment. Irene listened, her face filled with sorrow. "You have to tell him," she said finally. "Maybe the truth will set him free." But Cynthia was too afraid. How could she admit she had manipulated his heart? How could she face the man she had destroyed? Yet the weight of silence was unbearable. One night, as Stephen sat staring at her from across the room, Cynthia finally spoke. "Stephen, I need to tell you something." He looked up, his face hopeful, desperate. "Anything. I used a charm on you. Before you proposed. I was afraid you'd leave me and her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know it would do this." "I didn't know." Stephen's expression didn't change. He simply nodded, as though it didn't matter. "It's okay," he said softly. "I still love you." But his eyes were empty, and Cynthia realized, with a shattering finality, that the man she loved was gone. She had traded patience for possession, love for control, and now she would live forever with the consequence. Years later, Cynthia still lived with Stephen. He never left. He never changed. He remained a quiet, hollow presence in her life, a living reminder of what she had done. She had wanted security, commitment, a future. Instead, she had destroyed the very thing she cherished most. She thought of the woman she used to be, the one who loved freely, who believed in waiting, in trust, in letting love grow naturally. That woman was gone, replaced by someone haunted by regret. Late at night, when Stephen sat silently beside her, staring at nothing, Cynthia would weep. She had learned the hardest lesson of all: love cannot be forced. You cannot bend another person's will and expect their heart to remain whole. You cannot rush what is meant to unfold in its own time. And when you try, you lose not just the person you sought to control, but yourself. Cynthia had won the battle but lost the war. She had a husband, but no marriage, a man beside her, but no love, and every day she lived with the knowledge that she had no one to blame but herself. If you've made it this far, drop a comment. What lesson hit you hardest? Have you ever been tempted to force something that wasn't ready? Let's talk about it. And if this story touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this. Sometimes the most powerful lessons come wrapped in regret. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more interesting and captivating stories. See you on the next one.